Hey YouTube and Going Coastal. So the Going Coastal Jeep Club, this is the first day at Uwharrie National Park, and we are at El Dorado Outpost getting ready to go do the Badge of Honor Trail. And this is about half the club that is at Uwharrie, and most of these Jeeps are the ones that actually went out with me. I did this quick little rundown, walking by the Jeeps. You can see that we're splitting up into two different groups. The first group is going to do Dickey Bell today, and then the second group is going to do the cattle shoot today, and then basically I think we swap on who's doing what. And then the last day I think is planned for Daniel. This specific location is El Dorado Outpost. It's where the Jeeps meet up at. The next thing that you're going to see is us pulling out of Dutch John right here. This is another parking lot, and this is actually the beginning of the Dickey Bell Trail that we'll be on, so I'll just talk about it a little bit. So the El Dorado Outpost is this weird gas station slash restaurant slash hunting stores. They kind of have like everything imaginable at that particular outpost. I mean, they don't have everything, but it's like a huge convenience store that has, you know, all kinds of really kind of weird hunter slash off-road things, and it's where you get the passes at. You can buy them in other places, but El Dorado is centrally located right next to the campgrounds. So usually everybody goes over there, they buy passes, they pick up lunch if they need lunch, they pick up ice if they need ice. All the convenient stuff that you need, and then everybody lines up, and then you go out. If you're a Jeep, if you're not a Jeep, and you're like a truck with a side-by-side, you might stop by El Dorado Outpost to purchase your pass, and you might stop by there to get your gas. But you don't meet your other people at the El Dorado Outpost. Instead, you meet your people in one of the other parking lots, like the one that we just sort of like you just saw the edge of, and there'll be more footage of parking lots and stuff that you'll be able to see later on in the video to see what I'm talking about. But there's these parking lots that they have located all over the place, and what it comes down to is to get around to the different trails, they have real roads, and the ATVs in North Carolina are not allowed on the real roads. So you have to go to one of these parking lots to stage your truck and unload to go do a trail. Fortunately, the trails are extremely long in this park. Like you'll see, I mean, I just have Dickey Bell alone, and I realized that I have about 2 hours of video footage for just Dickey Bell alone. The video footage that we're watching right now is just going to be the first part of the trail leading up to Little Daniel. And the video footage has also been sped up, so we don't end up watching 2 hours worth of video footage. And it's going to be more like a highlights reel when we get done. This is a lead up on Dickey Bell, and I wanted to include a lot of Dickey Bell because it's the Badge of Honor Trail. And if people don't know what that means, there are these little shiny little badges that you can get Jeep to send you that go on the side of your Jeep. They're about maybe like 2 inches wide, maybe about 1 inch tall. They're rectangular, and they have like the trail name and the location, and they have the official Jeep logo, and they come from Jeep, and you get this like fancy letter from Jeep like congratulating you on you know, a challenge or whatever. The Dickey the Badge of Honor trails, to be specific, are not meant to be the meanest and hardest trails on the planet, and Dickey Bell is obviously not the hardest trail at Uwharrie. Daniel is. The system is meant to kind of, it seems like it's built around uniqueness of the trails. So if the trail is very unique and scenic, and maybe it's difficult, maybe it's not, but if it's special, then the Jeep Corporation will go and start giving out badges for that specific trail. And Dickey Bell, they just seem to think, is special for North Carolina. Although when you look at this footage of this part of the trail, it doesn't look special at all. But when we get to Little Daniel, which is the next video that in this series, which is where we're going to end up at, you're going to get a chance to see some of the little more special, interesting areas. Basically, there's some rocks. Sorry, I just gave it away, but there's some rocks. Where the rest of this trail footage that we're on really looks kind of like dirt humps with fencing next to it. And unfortunately, about 90% of Uwharrie National Park is basically what you're seeing here. It's these like dirt humps like that go around the park. I've been here 3 times now, and I sort of made the assumption that at some point it would like really, really rain, and these would get really, really slick. I've yet to be here at the right time for that to happen, but I usually come at Thanksgiving, and usually it's really cold. This is the warmest Thanksgiving that we've had at Uwharrie, so it's the most thawed. And we just went over a fire road, so apparently like the ATVs can cross like across the roads like that, but they can't go down the roads, if that makes sense. So for the Jeeps, it's like really easy to get around. We can just drive wherever we want and kind of figure out where we need to get to on the different trails. For the side-by-sides and the ATVs, like I was saying, they have to be a little more strategic with where they park their truck in the right parking lot and which trails they're going to do, and then how are they going to get back to their truck, and are they going to have enough gasoline and all that kind of stuff. It's a little more strategic for the Jeeps. We can't possibly run out of gas in a single day going around on these trails at the speed that we're going. We're going way slower than it looks. So as you can see, Uwharrie is a pretty friendly place for new Jeepers, and there are quite a few new Jeepers in our group that, you know, this was like the first time for them to take the Jeep out, like in the dirt. The Going Coastal Club, from my understanding, if you didn't figure out the name, is mostly like a beach club, and I don't want to talk down about that, but like they're mostly a beach club. Like if you look at the logo, like it's surfboards, so think like Outer Banks or Wildwood. I mean, I know like lots of the PA people go up to Wildwood, but imagine if your club was centered around Wildwood, it wasn't centered around AOAA or Roush Creek. This club is more centered around the beach scene. But they do come up to Uwharrie, and they do some trails, and they do some more of the moderate trails, I would say. There's only one trail, I think, in the whole park that's like kind of ridiculous, and that's the Face of Daniel, and the rest of the trails are pretty tame. So you can tell that there is kind of like up and down with going up and down these hills, but for the most part, other than these rolling hills, there's not any like really steep like mountainous terrains. I think the biggest like up and down that I can remember in the entire park was maybe going up to Daniel. Maybe that specific trail was the steepest one, and the rest of this stuff, you know, I would consider more like rolling hills. So there are other obstacles here other than Little Daniel, which is the main obstacle on Dickey Bell, and Daniel itself and the cattle chute. The obstacles are typically little things like on the side of the trail that you can play on. Like you saw, there's a little off-camber moment like right here if you stay to the far right. It's just a little bit off-camber. It kind of reminds me a little bit of some of the trails at Roush Creek, where they feel mostly like really green, and then every so often they have like a small blue obstacle that you can play on. That's sort of like the way I kind of think of Uwharrie. They have very few places that are just like straight up like rock gardens. Little Daniel and then Daniel are the only two that would be even close to like rock gardens. Like you can see like right here, there is an obstacle you can kind of play on, and they went all the way around it. And of course, you know, I picked like the most difficult line, and I just like drive right over it. Just because I was like wanting, you know, something to play on, some kind of little morsel of obstacle. So this is Thanksgiving, so because it's Thanksgiving, you're going to get to see all the beautiful scenery and the colors and all the coppers and browns and different colored trees, even though the video is probably being posted to the internet around December, January. Most of the time on these videos, it takes me a few weeks to get caught up. Like I'm editing the video right now, and I know like on YouTube, like I already have like 13 more videos uploaded that are going to pop up probably prior to this video appearing for everybody. I just have so much video footage of us going out and going on these little trips and stuff. So this is the first part of the Badge of Honor Trail in North Carolina. If you want to get a badge, you have to come to North Carolina and you have to be in the area. And then on your phone, you look for Badge of Honor on your iPhone or on your Samsung Galaxy or Android tablet or whatever. And then you download it, you put your VIN number in for your Jeep. And if you are close enough to the trail, it will let you check in. You don't actually have to go on the trail. But I mean, it's in the spirit of it, you should actually go on the trail, at least hopefully. And then after you check in, the first time you check in, they give you the option to receive a hard token, and then they will mail you the little token. So this is Little Daniel, so the very next video will be the largest obstacle on Dickey Bell, which is right ahead of us. You can see everybody's like lining up to go up Little Daniel. Thanks. Please like and subscribe.